So this is episode 1.5. If you haven't watched my other 2 videos, you can click up here or down below in the description for links to my previous video, and then previous to that one, there's the beginning video. Those 2 will just kind of like make this one make a little more sense, but if you just want to watch this video, that's fine too. This one is going to kind of be about the challenges I've faced based off of the previous videos, kind of like struggles that I talked about. So the challenges that I've faced. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about in this video is, because we're talking about challenges and stuff, I just wanted to make sure we kind of got it out of the way that, you know, this video isn't supposed to be like oh, poor me, like my life is so horrible, I've gone through so much, that, you know, I want people to feel bad for me or anything like that. This is more just kind of like, I want to talk about things that I've faced and maybe others out there have also faced, and kind of reaching around to making that big community that I hope to eventually have, that, you know, we can all kind of talk things that are bothering us through, and maybe become friends outside of just the virtual world. It would be really cool. So I know my life is like far from the worst. There's, you know, plenty of challenges that people have faced that may seem worse than what I've gone through. But I just am hoping to kind of get a like-minded community together, and for this to be as therapeutic as it is for me. I hope it's as therapeutic for you as well. The 3 kind of main challenges that I'm going to talk about today are things that I kind of am facing now, and, you know, are challenges that I faced as a young kid, and kind of like how it's progressed through my life. The first kind of struggle that I spoke about in the previous video was how my family have always kind of been yellers. So with that, I feel like comes a quick ability to get angry. I kind of can be easily become kind of argumentative. I want to get the last word in. I want to finish the argument. It's not done until I'm done. And obviously that's, you know, a challenge, especially when you have other people in your life, such as like a husband or a child. You know, you can't always have the last word, and not everything's worth an argument. But I think as a young child, always being concerned about being the loudest, it kind of turned me into more of maybe more aggressive in arguments. Like I don't want to cower. I want to get my point across. I want you to understand my point. And sometimes I argue that to a fault, and it's just unnecessary. So it's something I'm really trying to work on, like not always having to have the last word, and trying not to snap and get angry so easily. Especially having a kid, you know, they do stuff just to drive you crazy all the time. So that's been something that I've really had to kind of kick into gear. Like, is it really worth me getting mad and yelling? Probably not. And if it is, there's probably a better way I can deal with it, so that I can teach my son how to be better than what I'm doing. My second thing that I really struggle with is loneliness. That's a big one for me. You know, living in Canada, growing up in kind of like, not so much an unstable home, but like we moved so often that you didn't really get, like, I felt like I never really got my roots down before we had to move to a new place again. So I really got used to kind of being quick to make friends, pack up, and move. I always was the one who was leaving. No one ever left me. So I think moving away and moving here, like purposefully moving away from my friends, and then like them moving their separate ways, was really difficult, because it's kind of like, you know, I could live close to my friends and not be the person who has to leave like I've always been, but my life seems to always bring me in a direction where I have to leave. So that's been my biggest thing, and I think a lot of arguments and fights that my husband and I have are kind of around loneliness, which when I look back on it, I understand like he's probably also lonely. Like he's not from here either. He is still from the US, but like he's not from New Hampshire. So, you know, he has got quite a few friends through work, but still, you know, like not his best friends. Luckily I still have really good contact with my girlfriends from home. I get to talk to them. We FaceTime each other. We do little group chats. We play video games together. So I do have that, but loneliness is just something that I struggle with because it's kind of when I'm feeling really down and depressed, which is the third issue that I am struggling with, or challenge that I struggle with, is anxiety and depression. But when I'm feeling really anxious or depressed, that loneliness really kicks in. I just kind of realize like how far everyone is, how far my support system is. I'm lucky to have, you know, a couple of close family members around. I've got a couple of friends around here, but just not quite the same as what I was used to at home. And so it's really hard. I feel lonely in the sense that like I'm not from here. You know, little things are different that I was, you know, so used to seeing back home in Canada. Now they're a little bit different here. So it just kind of reminds me like, you know, you're not from here. So that's always hard. But you know, hopefully with this community, we'll kind of help all of our, you know, loners out there, or people who feel alone. We can kind of create that community and you know, become each other's friends and somebody to talk to, somebody to lean on. So I've noticed that living in the US with a child and not being from here is where a lot of my loneliness has been kind of stemming from lately. That's just because like I don't get to kind of share all of the like steps of my child growing with my besties and like having their kids grow up with my kid. And I feel really isolated from, maybe not just from that, but just the fact that I feel alone. And then I also kind of just feel like I just don't have that close relationship like I wish I had with the friends that I've made here. A lot of the friends that I have here, I don't get to see as often, even though, you know, we kind of like all live in the same area, but we all have busy lives. A lot of stuff in my friends' lives are different than, you know, the stuff that's going on in my life, like where I have a child. Some of them are younger when I met them in school. And so, you know, they might not be at the same stage of life that I'm in. They don't want to hang out with me, I'm boring kind of thing, or they have new families of their own. So I feel like that kind of makes me feel more alone, because it's almost like, you know, I've got people around me, but I don't get to even really see them. So I still feel like I'm by myself. The last thing that I've kind of, you know, been working through, one of the challenges I'm working through is my anxiety and depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I think I might also have a little bit of OCD, but that's undiagnosed at this time. Kind of like mentioned it a little bit through like therapy, but never, I don't think I've quite had it like written down as a diagnosis. But my anxiety definitely latches onto that feeling of isolation. You know, makes me feel more alone, lets me know I'm alone. And I also noticed too with anxiety, you know, it comes like hand in hand with depression. You feel so anxious, you feel so alone, and then it makes you sad and you feel depressed. One thing that I'll probably talk about at a later time that I've kind of cut out in order to help with that depression and anxiety is drinking. So I haven't drank for almost a year. The beginning of next month it will be a year. So woo! But we'll probably talk about that later. But with that, I've noticed kind of you know, with using different substances, you kind of get that depressive state, and that just, you know, does not work for me, because if you're already feeling really down in the dumps, you really don't need anything to bring you there. But with the depression, I talked about earlier that I have tried different means of kind of working through that. But I think talking about what's going on or how I'm feeling with like my friends, or hopefully, or not hopefully, this community that we're gonna start to make here, I think that's gonna be really helpful for me. I think that's gonna be hopefully helpful for a lot of people. You know, we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, put some comments, different ways that you might deal with your anxiety, depression, feelings of loneliness, maybe how you deal with feeling like you need to jump the gun in an angry argument, or even just a regular argument, feel like you need to be the loudest person. I would love some tips and tricks, because, you know, I'm working my way through, but I want this to be a give and take community, that we all feel like we can talk to each other. So definitely leave a comment, like, and subscribe. If you haven't seen my previous videos, go ahead and watch those. I'm going to try and release new YouTube videos every Sunday, but I'll also be releasing some shorts and little DIY things on my Instagram, and hopefully make this something interesting, and something that everybody would like to tag in and watch with me and work through our mental health, are things that are, you know, keeping us down, and build that ladder out, because we're gonna do great things. I can feel it. Another part of my anxiety is kind of like that feeling that you're not gonna do this, you can't do this, gotta quit, it's too hard. That's a really scary thing for me. So I think making these videos and hopefully creating this community is going to be a big step in the right direction for me. You know, really take me out of my comfort zone, but also kind of help me deal with my anxiety in a more productive way. So please keep watching my videos and keep tagging along on my journey, and let's see where this takes us.